Sit comfortably as you are doing, hopefully. Let your breath flow naturally and settle without any forcing, without the fixation. Allow yourselves to alive right here, right now, in this precious moment, moment by moment. Our breath is very good friend, company. See if we can take a few slow breaths, and with each exhale, release a bit of tension or whatever blocking your presence right here, right now. And each inhale, open to the simple presence of being alive right here, right now. Now, gently bring your attention to the word emptiness. You heard many, many times, perhaps even in this short previous session, you might have heard many times, more than 10. So see if you can bring gently attention to the word emptiness. Not the idea or philosophy to grasp, but as something to feel, something to experience, even something to sense. Does emptiness mean absence? As all the great master taught, emptiness means absence. Absence of what? Anything fixed or solid, independent, separate. See if we can bring that statement. Emptiness is absence of anything called inherent existence. Recall a time when something you held tightly, perhaps a belief, an identity, a fear, was revealed to be not as solid as you thought. What did that absence feel like? Perhaps a relief, quiet space, or openness, or a breath of freedom. Let that feeling expand through your body now, as if every cell remembers its own openness. In other words, I want you to recall or experience the meaning of the emptiness means absence. Of course, for some people, emptiness feels like a void, fear, and something unknown. But by now, you studied, you contemplated the real meaning of emptiness, and you discussed, hopefully you started to integrate that into your experience, your day-to-day life. See if you can feel that, so that feeling of openness or freedom of absence expand. That's one side of the two poles, or one side of the coin, you can say. Then Great Master also said, emptiness is a dependence, dependent arising. What does that mean? Well, everything arises, through causes and conditions. Your breath, your thought, your relationships, even this very moment arising through causes and conditions. I want you to just reflect on that fact. Nothing is arising without causes and conditions and mental imputation. In other words, notice that everything is supported by everything else. the air you breathe, like the sound around you, the warmth of your body, thinking mind, everything, all appearing internally, externally, everything through vast interconnections. I want you to feel, I want you to experience that fact. Emptiness also means dependence. Not only emptiness means absence, then what is your conclusion, sort of, this lived meaning of emptiness to you? Of course, emptiness is not a thing, a stuff, like, or the concept or idea. Emptiness is freedom, the way it is. Because nothing is solid, nothing is fixed, nothing is independently arising, independently existing. Everything can change, everything can transform, be transformed. Because nothing stands alone, compassion can flow. Because you are not a solid self, you are open to boundless being. Rest for a few moments in this open awareness, your experience, where absent is not a void, but a living space of possibility. But that possibility is also emptiness. Now, bring this understanding, lived experience into your life. How can I bring this to my life? What I learned from this class, this journey, what I learned from discussion or meditation, how can I bring this into my life? Perhaps when so quote suffering or uncomfortable situation or unpreferred circumstances arise, how would you bring this understanding to that situation? Perhaps you might remember, oh, it's dependent. It always changes. It's not absolute. It's not fixed. It shifts. When relating to others, you might remember they are also fluid, unfolding beings. It's not ultimately evil, obnoxious. When you practice, you can remember the openness you seek is already here. You don't need to look for somewhere else, right here, right now. Enlightenment is here, moment by moment. We want to awake. Of course, long-term purpose of awakening is there, but also moment by moment, right here, when we realize this fact. So emptiness in daily life feels like, as you experience right now or record, perhaps quiet spaciousness underneath everything, always present. In other words, a breath of freedom in every step, a gentle living openness that connects all things, all beings, emptiness allows us to connect everything, every being. Therefore, compassionate, the space where compassion arises. Just the final resting. Take a final deep breath and rest as you exhale. Let this understanding settle softly into your heart as a compassion or bodhicitta, as an expression of understanding of emptiness. May we move through the day with this understanding, this freedom, this spaciousness, this tenderness, this emptiness is a tenderness. This living awareness of emptiness as a connection and a space. Rest in the echo of this meditation for a few moments.